Everyday People podcast. My name is Speech. We must fight and win. It's united front of united minds. It's rainy revolution, revelation, and revolution. Everyday People pride. Underneath the sun and in the sunshine. So let your voice be heard and ease your mind, because someone's whole world can change in one day, and we got a lot of things to do. So let's go. Yeah! I'm very glad to have y'all watching. I am Speech. This is my queen, Yolanda. She is the queen of 30 years and the goddess. And then this is our daughter, Zoe Renee, who is the actress and also a very intelligent black woman, black girl magic. And this is Tiffany Williams, my sister-in-law, Yolanda's sister. She also does everything for us. She is an incredible entrepreneur with her husband, Q. And we are all doing various different things, and we're going to talk a little bit. I wanted us to talk, because we were talking about this a second ago, and I wanted to talk about Karens. Karen's gone wild. Because obviously around this nation right now, long story short is the Karens have been going wild, and I call them the Karens and Kens because I have one that I want to play that's a dude. Yeah. But I actually heard that they call the dudes Karens too, just for...
I kind of like that.
I do too.
Just to
I think
say,
it's
let's
cool.
keep them all in one category and let you know that there's nothing different. They're the same people.
It's the same
different
people.
Genders.
Yeah.
You know, but.
Yeah. And so there's been a video that we just saw a second ago, right?
Yeah.
The one at Walmart.
Oh,
No,
wait.
wait.
It's at Publix.
Publix.
Is it Publix?
The one I sent you?
Yeah, maybe that's the one you
The
said.
guy in the sandwich line?
Yeah.
Okay, let's pull it up. I'm pulling it up right now. And
Let's give it a little look.
I guess I'll turn my computer around so y'all can see it.
You're the officer, please. And I want to press charges if I can. Teach y'all motherfuckers.
It's not my fault you're a nigger.
Bruh, did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that?
We got it now. We got
Y'all heard
I
that?
got it. Yeah.
it. Okay. So this is, I don't know when this was, right? But
It's recent.
this was very recent. It's one of the newer things that popped up in our world of Karens. And what's your thoughts about it, first of all? What do y'all think? Obviously, it's appalling, but what else? What's y'all's thoughts?
This one's tricky for me because it didn't necessarily seem like... So what I heard is that he didn't want to wear a mask.
Right.
He was in the
Oh, this
line.
was the same dude.
Yeah.
Same guy.
So
He just didn't wanna wear a
he didn't
mask.
wanna
So how do
wear
we
a
know
mask.
that? How did you know that pre-story
I read it in the...
on an article?
Yeah.
In the post.
Okay, so
Okay.
he didn't want to wear a mask. What I don't like, and what I think Karens and Kens or Karens in general really trigger me is that it's on the tip of their tongue. They're waiting.
Yes.
Like it feels
That's
like
what
they're
I
waiting
feel,
for
too.
a moment. Even just to say, put your mask on. Which, hello everybody, I'm gonna look at the camera.
Put your mask on.
Put your mask on.
Yeah.
Like
In
not
the
just for
era
you.
of a pandemic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Literally. There are
Absolutely.
people that are
That's
out
not a
there
race
that
issue
will
either.
die.
Like, that's just-
Like, that's
It's just an
everybody.
issue.
It's a
Right.
human issue.
Put your mask on. And so the fact that that was on the tip of his tongue to me is just disgusting. And I think we could all agree with that.
So now,
Yes.
why did he, and maybe you knew from the post, that's why I'm asking, why did he say that to was it the cashier? Who was he talking to?
He was at the deli at Publix.
Okay.
And he was trying to order a sandwich.
Okay.
And she'd asked him to put your mask on, and he was like, I don't want to. I don't have to.
Okay. That
And
to me
then-
seems like that stems directly from Trump.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, who
Yeah,
else?
I would agree.
Well,
Who
yeah.
else is on that tip for real? Like
Right.
in this nation right now, it seems like his followers are on that
Yeah,
tip.
right.
But go ahead. Who knows?
So she asked him to put the mask on. He didn't want to, and she called the manager, and they called the security guy on. They were going to get the security guy on, at the Publix, and he got upset, and that was it. And he was upset because they canceled his order because he didn't want to put on his mask.
See, the problem I have is that it wasn't even a good comeback. Like, it would be different.
Right,
Like,
right.
if, like,
Yeah.
like, it just didn't make sense.
Right.
Yeah.
It didn't. It just came out of nowhere.
Literally, like, that's why I call you that?
Right.
Like, what?
Just off the tip of his tongue, like it was just waiting, sitting there. It just doesn't make any sense.
That's why you're a... What?
But it reminds us, right, of that woman that was in the park with her dog loose,
Right.
peeing in the park. This is in New York, Central
yeah.
Park. And the black man says, hey, please put a leash on your dog, right? Something like that. and she goes in,
Right.
and she's totally, and she was a Hillary voter probably. Somebody said this, and an Obama voter. And the point is, still right at the surface of her being was this ability to go in, call the police, act like she's being abused.
I feel like it's also the ability to realize how much you, a black man, telling any like white person what to do is just absolutely unacceptable.
It's
You know what I'm saying? Like that to me is what I saw. Is like it's not your place to show authority over them or to like
Right.
enforce law or like common sense. Like it's just not your place to do that.
The thing that I feel like the common thread that I see with a lot of them is it feels like there's some fear. There's some fear and a loss of control. And so all of that brings on anger. And I think, I don't know. I mean,
It's like any little
That's
pushback,
so- yeah.
they lose.
Well, it's funny you say that because I wasn't going to talk about this yet, but you brought it to me, so this is the perfect segue. There's a woman named Carol Anderson. Now, I saw her on YouTube a while ago because, I look up this stuff constantly. You know that. And so Carol Anderson had this whole thing during the Ferguson riots because of Mike Brown being killed. And she had an op-ed. I think it was in the New York Times or something. And no, it was in the Washington Post. And she said that it was white rage that was at work because people were outraged about the fact that we were protesting about Mike Brown. And she said it was white rage. And what
Yeah.
you've talked about is this deep anger.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of historical facts for that. And I wanted to just read some of the passage of what she said. So she said, white rage was at work, and so much attention has been on the flames, meaning the protest and even the looting and the burnings of stuff. She said everyone had ignored the kindling that was behind, right? And so she said since 1865 and the passage of the 13th Amendment, every time African Americans had made advances towards full participation in America's democracy, white reaction had fueled a deliberate and relentless rollback of black people's gains. So I want to say that again. White reaction to that was a deliberate and relentless rollback of black people's gains. And she said the end of the Civil War and the Reconstruction era was greeted with the Black Codes and the Jim Crow era. So that was the response to that. Then she said the Supreme Court's landmark 1954 Brown versus Board of Education decision was met with the shutting down of public schools throughout the South while taxpayer dollars financed segregated white private schools. So this is the backlash with that.
Yeah.
And then she said the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 triggered a coded but powerful response, the so-called Southern strategy in the war on drugs that disenfranchised millions of us, black people, while propelling President Nixon and Reagan into the White House. So that was the response. White people voted Nixon and Reagan into the White House. And then the election of Barack Obama in 2008 led to white rage that has been relentless and who was Trump. And so here we are today, right?
okay.
That's
So
wild.
that is so I do think you're onto the realities of white rage. There is white rage amongst many, right? Obviously not all white people, but there's a lot of white people that have white rage. And I think it's based on this feeling that number one, freedom is really for them and them alone. Because look at this man at Walmart, or you said Publix.
Publix, yeah.
He was asked to wear a mask in the age of a pandemic, which every human being is asked to wear. But he felt this entitlement
Yeah.
that I don't have to wear it. And we know that a lot of that comes from the Trump, rhetoric that he talks about on the media, in the media and on Twitter. So I think that's interesting. And by the way, the White Rage video, you got to see it. So you guys, if you haven't seen this White Rage video by the sister Carol Anderson, check it out because I think it will give you a lot of historical perspective for what I think is going on, and my queen actually just hit upon it too, is going on with these Karens of today. White Rage, it's on YouTube, and I'll send the link right there. Now, I want to know what y'all think about this whole concept of Karens. What's the point? What is the underlying thing that's bubbling up that's causing all these Karens to happen? I want to know what you think. Do you think it's a Trump thing and we just happen to be in a Trump era? Do you think it's a response to the protests or the things that are going on? Do you think it's an infringement on white people's freedoms in their minds or some white people's minds? So what do you think?
Do you think it's right?
Do you think it's right?
Right.
Do
Okay.
you think they're entitled to have this opinion? I'm sure Candace Owens would say yes. So let's talk. Let's talk
Right.
about it and see. And yeah. So anyway, I think that that's interesting.
That was a great.
She's deep.
That was amazing.
She's
Yeah.
deep. In fact, I want to allude to one other video that she said that I think was deep, and that is, and this is like the most disturbing terroristic realities of our history here in the United States. And I think it's the stuff that's not talked about in school, and we need to start talking about it in the public schooling and private schooling. And it needs to be taught because it's American history that helps explain why these racist and racism demons keep showing their ugly heads every whatever it is, every
Yeah.
5 months, every year, every few weeks. You know what I mean? It keeps rearing its ugly head. And I think Americans keep putting it back under the cover, under the rug, and then it starts to rear its head again. So anyway, there's another video of Carol Anderson, and it's talking about the lynching of Claude Neal. And I just want to explain it before we go to that clip. The lynching of Claude Neal was back in 1934, okay? Now, he was just one of many. We know that lynching was happening in general, Jim Crow South and all throughout right after the Reconstruction, which Reconstruction, by the way, was a huge time for Black people. We were in
Yeah.
all types of official positions in government. We were, like, everything was supposed to be made right after slavery. So anyway, so then this lynching in Jim Crow world started. And this is this white rage we were talking about. And basically she talks about where lynchings were literally called spectacle lynchings. You ever heard of this term? So spectacle lynchings were literally lynchings that were a festival. It was like everybody. Now you've seen those pictures, right?
Yeah.
We'll put the
Yeah.
picture up. So you've seen the pictures where all the white families are looking around a lynched man, even 3 men. There's different pictures, and some of them are smiling. They used to sell postcards of these lynchings. These used to be like, and so they called it a festival event, and it was advertised. So can you imagine this? This
I
is
cannot.
So how many years
Can't.
ago was this? Because we're now in 2020, right? So what is that? I'm bad at. So 90 years ago. So there's people that are alive right now,
Right.
that were alive to witness and be
Yeah.
part of this time period where this was happening in America. So it's not too far removed. There's people alive that seen these types of things. So it's a festival event, advertised. It was a huge deal. And they used to even sell almost like a cruise line. They would sell certain tickets if you were out of state. You come in and they sell different discount prices to come see a lynching of a Black man. So we're talking about white rage and the Karens of this world that we're living in, and it's crazy. So anyway, what do y'all think about that? Isn't that, it takes it to another level,
It
right?
takes it to a whole nother level.
Yeah, it does.
And to know it wasn't that long ago.
And
Right.
it wasn't long ago.
That's the part that really gets me.
It is. It's disturbing. It's real. And, but that's, to me, if we're going to deal with this Karen things, because the Karen thing almost becomes cute. But there's one picture there's one video I want you to see right now. Yeah. And it's this woman in a car. And we saw it just a second ago. We pulled it up and looked at it. Oh, gosh. This is where it's not cute anymore,
No.
right? Because
Right.
to some extent, the Karen thing is cute. I don't mean that literally,
No.
right?
Right.
Because we know that the woman in the park, if the police would have came,
Right.
it
It
turned
could-
out
it
that she
could-
left and the guy left,
It
right?
could have turned out totally different.
Yeah.
He could have been dead, right?
Right.
More than likely, that could have happened.
Right.
So this is another scenario where it turns out to be extremely dangerous. So anyway, I'm going to turn this around and peep this out. And for those that are watching,
She got the gun on me. Get away. She got the gun on me. Holding me with the car. Call him. I'm telling. Get the license plate. Get the license plate. Get the license plate now. Cause you were never about to hit me with the damn car. You about to hit me with the car? Both of y'all put a gun on me, okay? Call Richard back up to the police. Call Richard back up here now. Don't you fucking jump behind oh, no, I ain't jumping on your car. I was walking. Your husband was here. Get the fuck back. Do you think that?
What? What is that? What is that?
I don't know.
What is that?
You know what happened the other day? Tiffany was leaving the house and she was backing up, and me and Zoe were outside. We were just saying bye. And she was like, you know, there's a white lady in your yard. And we were like, we were so afraid. You know what I mean?
I get it. Yeah, I get it.
It was just a natural,
Quick.
Yeah,
was.
quickly,
It
like,
was.
what's happening?
like we,
Like,
What?
what's
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
like what's happening? Why is she here?
yeah, well, I was
Is
like,
she about to call the
oh my
police?
gosh,
Right.
like,
You know, is she gonna pull a gun? I mean,
Right.
like, you know, anything could have happened.
you just, you know, it's an interesting time. It makes me so sad because, you know, it just, you know, I don't know, it just makes me sad.
Well, I think it makes me sad too, because what it says is that we as blacks, and this, I think this has been true for us for quite a while, but it's increased during the age of Trump. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely.
So it's
Totally.
increased like probably
think-
100-fold.
I
Totally.
think the outwardness has increased. I think
That's
it's
what I mean.
It's always
They've been
been
empowered.
Right, not
They've
the
been
internal
empowered.
underneath
Right.
stuff, but I'm
Right.
talking about
Yeah.
the outward, overt.
outward where you can see it. They don't hide it. It's
They're
not
proud.
hidden.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's very on the surface right now.
And that's what I think. Like, I think a lot of people viewing, you may not know this, but a lot of black people look at whites, and this is not good. I'm not proud of this, but it's true. A lot of us look at whites and we're going to say, like, if it's a white woman and they're somewhere where they don't belong, because it's a funny
Yeah,
reversal of roles, right?
right.
If they're somewhere where we don't think they belong, at least a lot of us are initially thinking danger.
Right.
Something's gone wrong. Same difference with, you know, like I have a Jeep with no doors. I have a Jeep, all my doors are off. And so because of that, my doors are at home. So when we go places, all my goods I put inside of a duffel bag.
Big old duffel bag.
Luggage.
Now,
y'all.
like-
It's
right.
luggage.
It looks like
It
he's
looks,
got
it's a
some
duffel bag. It's like a
too
sport.
much.
ammunition in there.
Leave
No,
in the
no,
comments.
no.
Tell him to calm it down.
Yeah.
No.
Tell
him
It's a
stuff
duffel
it
bag
is.
for a man
It's
that
a
has
hard.
abs like this. It's a duffel bag. It's a gym duffel bag for a man that looks buff like I do. And everyone initially says, wow, he's in great shape. And then they look at the bag.
And they
And
know
they're
that
like-
you're doing it. Yeah.
And they're like,
They know you got it. You stay in the gym. You stay in the
I
gym.
stay in the gym just talking to the patrons, right? So long story short, I bring this bag into a restaurant and places that we go eating. And we sit outside because it's the pandemic era. And we try to stay, you know, social distanced away from everybody. And the point is, my queen always says, don't bring the bag in because we don't want people to think. Because in this gun toting, we're in the South. So
Yes.
we're in Atlanta, Georgia, Fayetteville, Georgia. And it's a whole nother, the gun culture is real here in a deeper way
Yes.
than a lot of other cities
Yes.
up north, possibly. But I go in and she's worried that people are going to think I'm going to maybe shoot up the place or something, which blacks never do. Right? Like, I don't know when is the
Yeah.
last time
Yeah.
a black person has went into a public space and just started shooting, right? That
Right.
just, that's not our MO. We have MOs, but that's not it, right? But anyway, my queen was like, just in case.
Yeah, I don't like to draw any type of attention. I don't want any, you know, trouble. I don't, you know,
With this, how can you not? Ladies and gentlemen, how can you not draw attention? When the goddess enters the room, how can you not draw attention? Right!
you are silly. You're silly.
No, go ahead. So you
No,
don't want to
I
draw
just
attention.
don't want to draw attention, and it's so
It's a big bag, though. Like, you know.
It's
Okay, can you just
ridiculous.
get off the size of the bag?
I'm just
The
saying.
size of the bag is alarming.
Can we back down on the
No,
bag?
the
just
size of
saying.
the bag is alarming. So, like, I don't care who was carrying it in.
Yes.
I would be like, trouble.
Yes, I know exactly.
I'd be like,
exactly.
Yeah. Sometimes it's got like
Yeah.
AR-15.
Everyone
Yeah.
knows. Everyone knows us at this restaurant. We are one of the favorite patrons
but the
at this
people that
restaurant.
are the,
The
extra
people that are there,
yeah.
that's who we're thinking.
yeah.
Okay, well, anyway, my
Yeah.
point with all
Right,
of that
right.
is
Yeah.
that my queen felt like, okay, this looks dangerous. We as black people, we many times think of the same way, but on a reverse tip because of racism and aggressive attacks, overt attacks on black people in numerous ways, right? So anyway, this is, it's a crazy era of time, and I really hope that we will have a time in America where we can start to heal
Yeah.
and get past this. But the woman in the car, so we just showed the clip. She's got a gun drawn. Okay, so I watch Fox every once in a while. I hate Fox. I do. I hate Fox because I think it is literal propaganda that I think is dangerous. I don't think that they even try to tell the truth. This is my opinion.
Okay.
Those that are watching, because I know I have a lot of white people that watch and they're Trump followers. Like when I talked about Candace Owens, they were on me. When I talk about anything about Trump, they're on me. They're like, you're lost, you don't get it. Okay. So I know that you have different feelings on Fox. I want to know what your feelings are about Fox News. If you think that they're fair and balanced as they say they are, or if you think they're propaganda as I say they are. Anyway, the point is that Fox News tends to have this narrative of, yeah, carry your guns because these are wild animals. In fact, sometimes they literally say things like that. And they mix, and y'all know this, but they mix Black Lives Matter with literal, looters and so on, which
Right.
many of the looters, if you look at the footage, a lot of that started by white guys, you know what I'm saying, or white
Yeah.
women. So anyway, like that Wendy's that was burned down here in Atlanta.
Yeah.
That was a white woman, right? So, and she, thank God, Keisha Lance Bottoms, did the right thing with that and did something with her.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah, she's in jail.
she's in
Is
jail,
she
which
really?
she should have been.
Good.
She was,
They caught her.
it's arson, right? And it started a whole big. Anyway, so Fox does this thing where they talk about us as Black people, and especially anyone that's part of the Black Lives Matter movement or sort of sentiment. Then they talk about us like we're dangerous.
Right. Did you see the clip from the couple with the guns on their property?
This is in the same vein.
Right, because they were
I
on
didn't
Fox.
Oh, you saw it. You didn't see this?
You didn't see
the
it?
guy had an AR-15 probably?
No,
or something,
you
and
were
then the
talking-
woman had a
I,
pistol.
I
or
didn't
But they
see
did
it.
an
I
interview.
didn't see it.
Okay.
They did the husband and his attorney did an interview on Fox and CNN. The interviews it was like left and right. It was night and day, these interviews. And on Fox, on CNN, I think it was Chris Cuomo.
Chris Cuomo.
Yeah.
He interviewed him and he was like,
He does a good job.
yeah, he did a good job. And the guy sounded ridiculous, talking
Right.
about how he was trying to defend his home, whatever.
But no one was attacking his home, right?
He said that they were.
Okay.
And he was just trying to protect his house or
Okay.
whatever. But on Fox, on the other end, they had the same, same interviews, same
Right.
two guys. And he was like, you have your right as an American to. He's like, they were 70 feet away from me. We were terrified. We were so scared that this mob of angry
Right.
looters and burners and arsonists, they just went completely.
Wow.
The way they described the people that were there, it was night and day between those two interviews on Fox.
Wow.
Fox they made it seem like they were just complete victims
Right.
in this whole situation. They lived in the house for 30 years, and he was trying to, protect his wife and things like that. It's like almost like his wife was trying to protect him because she
Right.
was out there
She
causing
was-
She
everybody else.
was more
Hey,
gangster than he was. Like, he was back in the back. She was like, what?
She was
Yeah.
like, y'all come around here if y'all want to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was just the thing on the Fox thing. It's a completely different interview.
Right. So then the narrative causes these people, these Karens, to pull out guns
Yeah.
without a life-threatening
Situation.
situation,
Yeah.
which is exactly what happens with police officers, right? That's what we're protesting. That's what is the problem with the string of killings. There's more names than I can even mention now.
Right.
Like, I literally have a problem memorizing all the names.
Because it's a long list.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah,
long
because
list.
it's
In fact, I
very
can't memorize all
Yeah.
the names. So there's dog whistle things going on Fox. There's dog whistle things going on with Trump. And this is Trump country, 2020, which you would think by 2020, this has been going on for 400 years. So you would think by 2020, man, things would be so much better. And we
Right.
find a lot of these things repeating themselves. So I like the energy of the pandemic because people have time. And it seems like because quarantine is basically happening in a lot of places, people are willing to stay online, stay active to some extent, right?
Yeah.
We agree with that?
To keep
Yep.
the protests going.
The protest has
Because
been
normally
going pretty
it would have
consistently.
fizzled out.
It would have been fizzled out,
Yeah.
like after probably 3 or 4 days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it would have.
This has been months
Gosh.
And I
now.
don't think it would have hit, gone across the world either. But with
No.
all this pandemic.
By the way, I have to say, the largest protest in the history of the world, from what they said
Yeah.
in stats, has been the
Largest civil
protest.
rights.
Yeah, largest civil rights protest in the history of the
Oh, yeah.
world,
Yeah.
which is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
2020. So then I wanted to say that with Trump country and the whole "Make America Great Again," there's studies that say, there's census studies that say by 2045 whites would be the minority in the United States. Did you know this?
2045?
Yeah. So it's 2020.
I can totally believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So that as population continues to grow and diversify, that by 2045, whites will be the minority in the United States. What do you think? Because Make America Great Again, we all know as black people, what's the dog whistle with that?
It never has been great.
It never has been great. And for white people, I think they're saying make it white again. You know what I'm saying? So then I think many whites have this feeling we need to take our country back. And I'm a hip hop, fan.
Legend.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And so Fear of the Black Planet was Public Enemy, fantastic record.
Yeah.
And that was, golly, I don't know, like late 80s, early 90s. I forget when that record dropped. And Fear of a Black Planet was sort of hinting to some of these things, meaning this underlying white rage, but this also underlying fear that things are changing,
Mm-hmm.
that
Yep.
they're simply changing. And so I want to give shout out to that record, Chuck D, give a shout out to you, to Professor Griff, both my guys. Actually, unashamed shout out to me, Daddy O, and Chuck D. We started this crew called Night Train, and we released a record called Bullets.
This is
Nice.
news to me.
You didn't know this?
No.
No.
You knew this.
Oh yeah, I know.
What are
Yeah.
you talking about?
Night Train.
You didn't know this?
When?
Dead.
Was I alive?
Right.
No, it
No,
just
this just
happened.
happened. You're alive. It just happened. We did.
Was I alive?
Me, Chuck D, and Daddy O. So okay, how it started is
What are you talking about?
so Daddy O. Okay, first of all, there's this genre called hip hop.
Stop it.
He's moved.
I'm not doing this in the business.
There's this genre called hip hop.
It's the day.
So I know. So no. So
Oh
Daddy
my
O's from
gosh.
Stetsasonic,
Yeah.
legend in the game. Chuck D, Public
Yes.
Enemy, and then Arrested Development, the best group ever.
Ever.
No. And so
Yes.
we're all three part of this crew called Night Train, and we did a single for Daddy O's remix of his song he did called Bullets. And I was on a single, Chuck D was on a single, and it did well. People really responded well to it. And long story short, Daddy O was like, why don't we do a group? So then we started this group called Night Train, and we're actually going to do a record. So,
Oh my God.
yeah.
I
yeah,
had no
it's real.
idea.
Yeah. And
Things are
so,
moving fast.
We literally hang out every day. And
I know, every day.
Every single day.
but there's so much going on.
Yeah,
There's
a lot.
so much going on that it's
we
tough
talk
to.
a lot.
Yeah, we talk. We
We talk a
talk
lot.
every day, just like this. This is just now being filmed.
Look at mine.
You're a juicer.
Yeah, I can't have.
But you've never had nails though. You've literally never had nails.
My
I've never
nails
seen
are
your.
left.
I've never seen your fingernails past
I just
your
don't get.
skin.
I mean, how can I
Just
live
look how
with
pretty
long
my
nails?
hands look.
I don't think long nails are the move.
How can I live?
Like really long.
No,
I'm not
just
talking
I
like
can't
I'm
pick
talking
up
about like
anything?
the Cardi B
No.
nails.
Oh no.
Or the
How do you
circle
write?
ones.
No.
Look, everybody has their thing, but
Yes.
it's just not the move to me. It just seems like it would be very tough to do anything.
How
like
do you
even
open
when I
a
see
doorknob?
a doorknob,
Yeah.
something
Oh,
as simple
gosh.
as
Here's what I
that.
do know.
You have to do like this,
Ugh.
right?
Well, you just have to
So
alter
extra.
your life a little bit.
No,
But
that's
is
a
it-
whole lot. How do you even wipe?
Wipe.
How do you wipe?
I mean,
think
I'm
they
like,
use the tip of
what
the
in the
nail.
world?
No.
Stop, baby. No,
Some are this long.
What is that?
So gross.
that is.
It's gross. The truth is just gross.
Well, I think when it
Like
gets
how
to
much
this,
stuff can
You
get
don't.
under a
You
nail?
don't. You
Not
don't.
the boo boo. I'm not even talking
Oh
about
my gosh.
Just
Okay.
lint.
Wait. Oh.
Lint.
Okay. Okay, Lint.
Lint,
Okay.
feces, parts.
Stop.
'Cause
Stop.
This is what we're breathing in.
what?
Feces?
There is mouse
Stop.
What?
Stop.
and
We're
rodent
not-
feces all around.
Stop.
That's true. That's what lint.
Can
I
we
mean,
get
that's
back
what
to Karen's? Because
dust
this,
is.
I don't want to talk about this.
What is dust? We're doing a
Dust,
special
no,
on that.
dust is
We're doing
dead
a
Skin and hair.
Dead skin and feces.
And hair. No. Dead skin
It's
and
boo
hair.
boo and skin.
Stop. No. I can't.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay.
We're off the-
Okay,
we're-
it's so
I
gross.
you
cannot.
guys have gotten me off the path.
No.
It's literally disgusting.
Golly. Okay, go ahead.
No,
That
I
is
wanted
so
to ask
disgusting.
you a question.
Yes.
Actually, all of you guys. But like, if
Mom
you,
would beat them down. Go ahead.
if you guys came in contact with a Karen, and they just flat out called you nigger, what are you doing? Like I know obviously you have to be in that spot to like, say.
I
but-
think for me,
Well, I
it had
can't-
to be in the, like if Amani was with me,
Oh.
then I think I would handle it differently if I was by myself.
So if you were by yourself, then what?
I'd probably fight.
Tiffany, no,
I
you
swear to
will
God,
not.
I tell you, I fight kids. You think I'm not gonna fight some lady
Right.
who's called me a nigga? I
What-
feel like it depends. Like if it's something like over something silly or whatever. But if we're into it and it comes out, I just don't know.
I think Tiffany would fight. Hands
I
down.
think I would fight too.
Okay.
I definitely think Tiffany would fight.
Yeah, like 100%.
Whether Amani's in the car or not.
She'd be like, Money,
Monty, close your eyes.
get on TikTok, Money.
Turn on your iPad and
Monty,
watch a
turn on-
movie.
Yeah, turn
Watch
on
a
Kids
movie.
Bop. And
And you know, like if Q is with me,
it's done.
oh, it's
Q's
over.
fighting.
You'd be
It'd
like,
be over.
come
Well,
on,
Q
baby.
can't fight the woman. See, that's the thing. For me, there's nothing I can do if a woman
No,
calls
the
me.
thing is, you can't fight a woman, but you could choke her.
You can what?
Choke her.
Choke her. I love it.
Snatch her real quick. I don't think
Right,
it
it's
isn't-
harmless.
So
It's
wait.
harmless.
I'm
I
just saying. Okay, whatever. I'm
I
just saying.
can't.
I'm not saying
I
for
can't.
any time a man put his
No,
hands on
we
a
know,
woman
of
or
course,
whatever.
of course.
But
Right.
There's times when a man should put his hands on a woman.
That's a different
No,
podcast.
no.
That's a different
That's a
podcast.
different-
Yeah, that is.
Okay.
That
And
is.
your
We'll
statement's
let it go.
wrong.
Yeah.
The statement's right, but I know that I didn't put a lot of context.
Right.
Right.
So we
Okay.
can't-
We'll
So
discuss.
yeah,
We'll
let's
discuss.
just not go there.
You put your hand on the woman lovingly.
Exactly.
Lovingly.
Lovingly.
Around
You
the
guide
thing.
her. You
I'm just joking. I'm just
love
joking.
protect her.
Exactly.
You
You protect
love
her.
her.
You love her.
That's
yes.
right.
Yes.
Okay.
that's
Now,
it. Yes.
speech. What would you
Yes.
do if it was?
If a man.
If a man.
If he's twice as tall as me, nothing.
Dad said, let me put it this way.
Right.
Nothing.
Right, exactly. If I can do something about it that I feel I have a great chance, I'm
Yeah.
going all in.
Yeah.
If I feel I don't, I'll wait.
Yeah.
If I have a gun, which is why I don't carry a gun.
Right.
No, really, it's why I
Yeah,
don't carry a gun.
yeah.
Because I do feel like, see, guns, and this is a whole nother conversation, I think it changes your bravery level.
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
For sure.
you know what you got in store. So
Right.
it takes it to the next level. If you feel like you're losing a fight, well,
Right.
Hey, I'll shoot him.
right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think I don't carry it for that reason. Like I try to avoid that whole vibe. To be honest with you, you know, my wife knows and my daughter knows. I can get a temper pretty quickly with disrespect.
Yeah.
Like that's my area where I tend to go from 0 to 100.
Yeah.
And yeah, it depends. It really does. Like I do know this. It's never worth me getting killed over. I'm not saying by the person
right.
I'm the problem with.
Right.
But the whole, fiasco
Yeah.
that can ensue because of it.
Or
Right.
just even the police coming. You
Right.
know?
It's never worth
Yeah.
that. So I would I'm that kind of thinker for real. Like
Right.
I do think of those things. Like
Right.
I think of the step 2, 3, 4, 5 as opposed to just right,
Right.
now.
Right.
And how deep is this gonna go?
Yeah.
But I definitely would respond. Like
Right.
with
Oh, for
something.
sure.
Like that's for sure.
Yeah.
Whether it would be with violence. Like I personally liked the situation at I don't know, maybe it was a 7-Eleven, but the Hispanic chick. It was very popular. And it was a white lady in the store. And the white lady, I'll pull up the video, but she kept taunting her and taunting her. And then the white lady pushed her. You didn't see this? Oh my gosh. And then she slapped her. The Hispanic chick slapped her in the face. You
I
didn't
did
see
see
that?
that.
Yeah, yeah.
That was like
Yeah.
I thought we
viral.
saw that at breakfast.
Yeah, we
or
saw
something.
that.
we
Right.
did.
Yes, we saw that.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so that one, right? And
Yeah.
I'll send the video. You guys could check the video if you haven't seen it. Most people have seen it. These are viral videos.
Yeah.
I'm pro the sister.
Right.
Like
right.
I'm super pro the sister. And so was, by the way, the white guy who was in line too. I think he was the one filming it.
Yeah.
So a lot of people see the injustice of this stuff. Like a lot of, the woman was saying, go back to, I think she said Mexico or something.
Right.
You're not from this country. So Karen's, it can go, and that's what I wanted to talk about, for a second.
Wait,
is-
can I just
Wait,
ask
I
a
was gonna
question?
say I wanted to hear your
Go.
longest.
Oh,
Well,
yes,
I want to
please.
hear
Yes,
Zoe's
yes.
first. Like what?
Zoe, because
Zoe
Zoe, since she was a kid,
Let me tell you.
she always said, I'd fight back. She always has this super
No,
fire
she
thing.
at 2 years old, Zoe was like, Zoe, if somebody comes in the store and grabs you, what will you do? And she's like, I'll kick him in the balls.
That's Zoe Renee.
A 2-year-old. So she's
Right.
always had this.
She's had this fire in her.
You know.
Tiffany, do you mind grabbing some water
Yeah,
or
sure.
pouring some water in there?
So what would you do, Zoe?
That's a good
Is
question.
someone-
What I do know, like I haven't been in these situations often,
Right.
but I do know that I'm probably very similar to Dad in that I think I can get riled up
Yes.
very fast.
Yes, I definitely think.
So I think if it was directed at me, I'd take a second and be like, "There's no way."
Right.
Literally, there's no way.
Right.
Like it just can't happen.
Thanks.
And then I would attack, and not
Attack?
in not
Attack.
In,
Come
not-
on, Zoe. What?
Not like
What?
not like
Do
not
your
with
karate
fists.
chops.
Right. I'd be like,
Hold on. You guys got to see. Zoe, please stand up for just a second. I just want you to stand up. This is who's going to attack you. You better be careful, ladies and gentlemen. Because let me tell you, this young woman, this black girl magic girl right here is coming for you.
Guys,
Don't bring her no smoke, ladies and gentlemen. Don't bring the smoke.
Let me tell you.
what I'm saying is that who is that?
That's speech again.
That's
Yeah.
that, yeah.
That's me. Yes.
Men.
And this is a whole nother conversation
another
that I
whole
refuse to have with 3 women on this, with just me. But when I get 2 other men, we're going for
I
it.
can't
Going
wait.
in.
I literally can't
You're
wait for
going
that
for it.
conversation. But I think I would go
Attack with words.
I definitely would attack with words.
Yes.
Okay.
I would hit him with
That's so hot.
You have eyes?
Yeah, I do.
It's
but
just
it's
not
okay.
working.
But it's hot in here.
Yeah,
You know.
It is hot.
But it's okay. It's okay. I'm gonna get it together in just a second.
So
Yes.
I know what Yolanda's gonna do.
What am I gonna do?
She's gonna pray for them.
No. No, but you know what? When I was
Oh,
younger,
what happened to you? What did,
Right, you're
what
broken.
did
hurt you?
You're
Who
broken.
hurt you?
You're hurt
what
inside.
happened in your life? What
Your
happened
insides
today?
have
Let
been
me
disturbed.
help you.
That's the queen.
no, but for real, I wholeheartedly believe that hurt people hurt, people.
Hurt people hurt people.
I really believe that.
It is true. It is true.
very true.
And
is
so
true.
for
I agree
me,
with
part of me, I mean, I could be angry and feel sorry for somebody at the same time. So
Shout out to Frankie, by the way. Frankie Hilliard, my dude.
What did he do?
When you're angry at someone and feel sorry for them at the same time. Did I tell you this story?
No.
no.
Well, I won't go into it now. Go ahead and finish.
Yeah, so I mean, I think, you know, I just, if someone called me a nigga and, you know, I just would be like, gosh, what, you don't, why would you say that? Why would you say that to me? And then, I mean,
This is why I married her.
Right. And then typically it works for her.
Yeah,
It really does.
It does.
I've seen
like,
grown men cry
cry
because she
behind.
responded that way. Like
Yeah.
she
Like,
came
how
at
could you-
them. I'll never forget at Summerfest, Muhammad. And Muhammad's our dude. So
Yeah.
this is not a diss.
Yeah.
I'm saying his
Muhammad.
name because it's not a diss. But Muhammad was going in and he was mad about something. And my wife went up to this grown man and said, Muhammad, you're broken. You're broken inside. And he just stopped. And I don't think he was expecting that kind of response to his anger.
Nobody
Anger.
is.
Nobody's expecting because
And he broke down and cried. A grown man. And my father, who's 80-something years old, watched this.
Yeah.
And he was like, that right there, that was some gangster stuff. It's like, your wife is serious, Meech. You married a serious woman. That girl said to this man, he broken. And he broke down and cried, Meech. I'd never seen anything like it.
That's
God.
funny.
yeah, so I mean,
Well, I said shout out to
What
Frankie
kindness?
because you could feel angry and sorry for a person at the same time. Frankie's my dude. He had gotten broken into, and he was in a building. They were breaking into his car. That's what was happening. 2 dudes. He walked outside and he saw them breaking into the car. He's like, hey, hey! So he runs to them, beats one dude up, slams one dude into the door, like slams him into the door, slams another dude's forehead onto his car window, his
windshield.
windshield, breaks the windshield. Both of them knocked out. One guy against 2. Then he calls the ambulance. For
These guys
them.
up.
yeah.
He's like,
Hey, there's a break-in.
I
beat
I
him
got,
down.
I got the situation under control.
And now they need help. They
Now
need help.
they need care. They need care.
Can you hurry, please?
Yeah, please hurry.
One of them's bleeding pretty badly.
Right, exactly. So
critical condition.
that's the type of dudes I hang with. I love that.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I love that.
It's pretty special.
Yeah, so things could go
Yeah.
wrong with these Karens.
Yeah.
And they can get beat the heck down. So I will play the video of the Hispanic chick slapping the woman. But there's also one, and I'll have to find it, but basically where there was this black guy getting called a nigga by a white guy in a car. And the black guy reaches in and he grabs this guy and starts punching on him. And then the white guy's friend jumps in and tries to help him. And the white guy gets out the car, and there's this brawl. But the black guy totally, won the situation. I guess my point is don't be Karens. It's like at the end of the song, People Every Day, the words go, you never know who you step into. You could get stabbed, shot, killed, or hurt. It's not even worth it. Hey, you know, hit it. Thank you for watching this with us. This is Karen's Gone Wild. It's our first, I don't know if it's our first, because I don't know what order I'm going to show this in, but it doesn't matter. Point being, this is the Everyday People podcast.
Come on.
My queen, Yolanda.
Hello.
My princess, Zoe Renee, and the queen, Tiffany Williams. And we thank y'all for watching. We want y'all to get involved with the conversation. Let us know what you think. If you love what we're talking about, subscribe right below. If you hate what we're talking about, subscribe right below. And we'll see you next time. Peace.